What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dad's Expensive Hobby.
What's up?
Today we are taking a look at the Loose Collector's Monster Hyde figure from their Crypt series. And I gotta tell you, this thing is awesome. Just look at the size of this box. But don't be fooled, my figure doesn't look like this because mine is the Big Bad Toy Store exclusive Variant 2 version. So mine looks like this. But I just wanted to show you all how big and awesome their packaging is in case you aren't familiar with them, because their boxes look really, really good. But let's get Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde out of the box here. All right, now that we've got Mr. Hyde out of the box here, look at this thing. He looks awesome. He is big, he's heavy, he is chock full of paint and detail. So if you like figures that have paint from head to toe on them and tons of gorgeous sculpt, you are really in for a treat with this guy. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's measure him real quick and see how tall he is. To the top of his hump, which is like taller than his actual head, he is about 9 1/4 to 9 1/2 inches, which puts him right at about 24 centimeters. This thing is just freaking awesome. He is heavy as could be. Watch how that thing moves around the second I set him down, and I wasn't even setting him down hard. But let's take a closer look at him and look at all of his details. I'm going to take this little like torn shirt piece off because we'll look at that in more detail whenever we get into his accessories. But let's start with his face. Look at the face paint on this thing. That is absolutely gorgeous. The sculpt, the shading, he's got a nice scar on his face. And when we get to his details, we'll look at his other head sculpt. The paint in his beard looks really, really good. I like the skin tone. This variant is a lot darker of a skin tone than the original version. I don't have that, but I might put up some pictures up here on the screen somewhere to show you. Look at the sculpt of his musculature. I have no figures, and I mean none, that have as much detail. Look at his clavicle and his pecs through here. The awesome airbrush work in his muscles. Look at his back right there. Holy crap, Ola. Look at that V taper right there. You know, Mr. Olympia would just be crying in envy. His abs look really, really good. Even though they're like super exaggerated, like his musculature and stuff is super organic looking. Look at his biceps and his triceps right through there and his forearms. Look at the definition and shading and detail in his hands. That looks awesome. They even moved in and got his thumbnail looking really awesome and gnarly right through there. That's crazy. Veins in his bicep right there. Look at all those lines going through his abdomen right there and his back. And we'll show you that one more time. Holy crap. His pants look really good. Got a nice painted like gold button right there. Nice details. There's a wash and a little bit of dry brush going on with it. And they're still kind of soft plastic. If you can see me move that. Man, that is really, really awesome. His legs look really, really good. Look at that. The knee is even the right color, which, you know, in the past couple of videos, we've been having some knee issues. You know, turtless. But, you know, I'm not going to call anybody out on it. They did give him a butt, but that's okay, I guess. It looks really, really good. It looks almost like jeans or something if you can see the detail of the way they kind of did the pattern of the pants. His calves are humongous. Look at his feet. Look at the size of his feet and his gnarly, gnarly toenails. He is just in need of a pedicure for sure. That's crazy looking though. That looks so, so good. Let's stand him and compare him to some other figures and see how he holds up against them. All right, now here he is next to the Marvel Select Immortal Hulk and the Marvel Select Red Hulk. Oh my goodness, this is literally a trio of like my favorite like big bulky muscular figures right here. Look at this. This is just awesome. Look at their like just the definition and paint jobs on all three. I would definitely say he has a better kind of sculpt as far as more in detail, but he is 3 times the price of these, so that's not that big a deal. But man, they look awesome. And here he is next to the Marvel Legends Red Hulk and the Marvel Legends 80th Anniversary Gray Hulk right here. And I think, you know, even though he kind of dwarfs them, these are big figures, and man, they just look really, really good together, and I think they still scale pretty well. They look just super awesome. Like, just look at that. God, that's amazing. And here he is next to the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Juggernaut right here. And Juggernaut is a really big figure, and he just makes him look like just a little kid standing there, even though Juggernaut's kind of holding his own as far as the musculature and stuff. But Hyde just blows him away. And I've got the Boxer's Deadpool right here from Marvel Legends. I just wanted you to see him next to just a regular 6-inch figure. And here he is next to the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Daima Vegeta Mini right here. I just wanted you to take a look at him next to him because, goodness gracious, because Vegeta's the smallest of the three minis. And holy crap, he doesn't even, like, his hairline doesn't even come up to Hyde's knee. That's hilarious looking. All right, that is crazy looking to compare him to those Hulks and stuff. Oh my gosh. But another thing that's about this release that's equally as awesome are his accessories. He doesn't get a ton of them, but what he gets, man, they really knock it out of the park. Let's take a look at those really quick. Now, his accessories look really awesome. He comes with 2 head sculpts. Neither one of them come on him in the package, so you can start with whichever one you want. I'm going to start with this one, and it's kind of got a, just a long, kind of shaggy looking hairdo, but the paint and sculpt of this hair looks super awesome. Look at the eyes, the shading around the eyes, how they're kind of yellow looking, and the mouth and teeth are kind of glossy. God, that looks really, really good. And his like lamb chop beard right there, that looks super good. His other head sculpt is this one right here, and this one has that scar that I pointed out earlier, and it looks really good. It's an open mouth. Those teeth and that tongue in there, that looks really awesome. And he's bald-headed, and I kind of like that. But the gray in this one's lamb chops look really, really good too. And this hat that comes with it looks really awesome. It's got a nice wash on it. It's a little top hat, and it's kind of keyed up in there, if you can see that shape, to go onto this one's head. You cannot get it on the other one, but it goes on this one, and I think that looks awesome. If I were to display this, this is definitely the head sculpt I would use with the hat on it. I think that looks fantastic. He also comes with 4 hands. The fist hands right here are on the figure in the package, and I love the paint, the airbrushing, the detail of the skin itself, if you can see that. Big old knuckles. His thumbnail looks nice and ratty and cracked. The detail there, that looks really, really awesome. Let's compare it really quick to one of the Marvel Select Hulk hands, just so you can kind of get an idea of how big this thing is. It's like even bigger than the Red Hulks, which is crazy. He also has a set of open hands, and these things are incredible looking. Look at the bone shape and sculpt there. That looks crazy. Look at these fingernails. I remember how I'll be telling you about how he needs a pedicure. He needs a manicure too. Look at that. That's crazy. Nice and cracked and awesome looking. Great paint work. The palms of his hands look really cool. Kind of slick right through there. They've got a little lazy right there, but that still looks really good. And let's compare it to the Red Hulk's hand from Marvel Select. A little bit more detail in the Marvel Select one, but they're both painted, and look, the fingernails are both painted, and both hands look really, really good. But even at that, look at that. Look how much bigger his hand is than the Marvel Select Hulk's hand, because you can just hide it right behind Hyde's hand. That thing is crazy big. He also has, just very similar to the Gray Hulk release, he's got like a torn shirt accessory. It's a pretty hard plastic. This is almost more like a shell than anything. It flexes a little, but it's more like a shell, and it looks really, really good. It's got a nice texture to it with a really nice black wash, great holes in it, but the black wash really brings it to life and kind of makes it shine a little bit, and I think it looks good. Let's compare it to Gray Hulk's. So it's a very, very similar concept, except this is much more flexible plastic. And in a lot of ways, I wish this was kind of a more flexible plastic, because the way it's kind of a shell, you can tell it was molded on him in a certain position, and sometimes it can kind of look like it's floating a little bit. And just to show you the size difference, this one's for the Gray Hulk from Marvel Legends, and it just sits down in there like it's nothing, how small it is compared to the Monster Hyde one. And lastly, he comes with 2, what the box calls fire imps, but I call them little demon babies. But they look really, really awesome. They're kind of candy colored. They're like translucent red plastic, but they look like they're made out of little candy. But they got little gray horns on them. And as you can see up in there, there's some nice dry brushing on them. They look really good. Their mouths are painted well, and their little eyes are even painted really good. And their little fingernails. They look really cool. And they're partially articulated. You can move their arms. Their legs don't move, but their heads can twist, and their little arms move. And just for fun, let's stand them next to the mini Vegeta, and heck, their hairline is actually taller than where Vegeta's is, so they're actually bigger, and they're still kind of squatted down. He's straight-legged, and they're taller than him. So that wraps up his accessories. They are awesome. Wow, those are killer, are they not? I mean, the size of those hands alone, and the wash and stuff on that on his little like torn shirt, man, that looks really awesome. But let's move in and take a look at his articulation and see how he's moving around. Let's start with his head. Now his head can only look up that much, basically, which is just straight out. but it looks down really, really well. That little gap right there is as far as showing like the back of his neck. Not that you'd really ever be looking straight down on this figure, but that, you know, that still kind of bugs me. And that's because his head, if I can pull it off here, it's so hard to get his head off.
Fuck.
Popped it off there. It's on that, like, kind of that Marvel Legends kind of ball disc kind of deal right here. This is not my favorite head and neck setup, but what are you gonna do, right? Let me pop it back on here because his head is hard to get on here.
A few moments later.
All right, got it back on. All right, but it can still give you some nuance because of the way it is, but you're not going to get him looking like straight up over his head. He's just going to look down for you. His shoulders, for as ginormous as they are, one is tighter than the other. His right one is really tight. I probably should have heated him up, but I haven't messed with him much prior to you know, getting him out and reviewing him. His shoulder will come out to about right there. This one I need to heat up to loosen, but we have a problem. It's okay. That's not that big a deal. Loose Collector, you know, oddly enough, has trouble with tight joints. They need to loosen them up just a little bit. His bicep swivel moves pretty well. He's got a single jointed elbow, and I like that they went with that because that would have just killed this sculpt had they tried to do double jointed or whatever. So I think that looks really good. And the joint itself looks pretty good. Look at that musculature right there. No butterfly, obviously. Not that he really needs one. Now, he does have a diaphragm break. You get I'm going to show you neutral. He does crunch forward a little bit, a couple of degrees. Same kind of problems that any Hulk figure runs into. And he'll lean back a degree or two. You will get some lean and twist out of that diaphragm. So honestly, I'm perfectly fine with that. It's not like he really needs to, like, you know, get in some big crunch down pose because of the way he's kind of sculpted. He's kind of hunched over and crunched down anyway, so I'm not going to complain about it. It's got a waist swivel, and it actually doesn't look bad. It doesn't give you a huge amount of shelf around the obliques when you twist him like you get with other figures. Let's look at that from the back when you twist it. See there, that doesn't look too bad. I really like that. Now, I was pleasantly surprised at how good of a split he does. He gets about as much of a split as any Hulk figure, and heck, a lot, you know, equal to a lot of the Goku and Vegeta figures from SH Figure Arts. So that's pretty darn good. A little gappy, but his legs are so big. They've got to kind of sculpt it like that. So I'm not going to hit him. Pretty decent front kick, really. Actually better than some of the Hulk figures that I own, so I'm impressed with that. And like I told you earlier in the video, he's got a butt, sadly. So you're not going to get any kick back out of him. But, you know, he's a Monster Hyde. He's not like he needs to do any kicks. He's got a thigh swivel right here, and it's hidden pretty well. If you're not actually like looking for it, you wouldn't really even be able to tell because of the way they've sculpted the pants. It's at the bottom of that sculpt, so it just kind of looks like wrinkles in the pants. I think they did a good job with that.
Thank you.
He's got a double jointed knee that when you engage it works really good. His lower leg is a little short in comparison to his upper leg. As you can see, the heel should actually kind of come up to his butt, and it's a little short, a little shy of that, I should say. And I forgot to point out, all of his joints are pinless. And I know a lot of people really, really like that they're pinless. The only place you can see a pin is up here in the neck. That's the only place there's a pin on this figure. His feet point down really good, and they come up past neutral, so I'm honestly not too upset about that. Got a nice rocker on him, so the ankle's pretty darn good. He has a toe break, which I like how they've cut and sculpted it into it, so you almost don't really see it too much the way the sculpt goes into like the metatarsals of his feet. I like that. And it doesn't look too shabby either. Like from the side, see how that kind of rounds and goes with the sculpt of the fore part of the foot right there? That looks really, really good. So his articulation is pretty darn good for as ginormous of a figure as he is. I mean, his shoulders aren't terrific. They're nice and tight, but I mean, I could heat that up and loosen it. So that's really not that big of an issue. His abdomen, you know, like his diaphragm break, moves okay, but it's not too shabby, to be quite honest. And his articulation, I would give it a solid B minus. It's above average, not the best you've ever seen, but for a really huge figure like this, that's actually pretty darn good. Final verdict on this guy. How do I say this without just yelling into the microphone? This guy is awesome. This figure is really, really good. He's a little pricey. He's $100.
Jesus Christ.
And that's retail. These guys are $100. Most loose collector figures are. But I gotta say, this thing is worth it. His articulation's fantastic. His aesthetic is second to none. His accessories are pretty good. I mean, look at this sculpt. You can't complain. I'm gonna give this figure an A. It's not perfect. It's definitely got some room for some improvement, and that's mostly in just kind of the fine tuning of things. But Loose Collector, you are really, you knocked it out of the park with this one. You've made a new fan. I'm probably gonna pick up some of their those great wolves that they've got, that they came out with like last year, I think, or maybe year before last. I'm going to get one of those next. But this guy, he's really, really awesome. If you haven't subscribed yet, pause the video, scroll down, click subscribe, give us a like, give us a comment. And with all that said, this has been Dad with Dad's Expensive Hobby, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.